Oh no, this is going to be dog shit. Let's just get through this.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Here, it's the Final Transmission podcast. It's me, Sam Russo. It's Jamie Carruthers. It's one horror movie a week from the dawn of time until the end of time. Jamie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. How are you?
Great. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. It's nice to be welcomed.
Good. Welcome to you too, dear listener. Not going to ask how you are because you can't reply. What are we doing today, Jamie?
Well, I think what we're going to do first is I'm going to tell you how you can support the podcast. I'm doing it now instead of later, just for shits and giggles.
Mix it up.
There are loads of ways that you can support the Final Transmission podcast, but the best way is financially via the Patreon, where we release unedited, uncut versions of episodes much like this one and many, many others. You get those in video format or in podcast format, so you can still listen to them while you're running or walking or sitting down. The three modes. Or if you wanted to hear more from us more generally, you can follow us on our social media at the platform of your choice, and that's at FT Horror Show. You can get more from Sam over at Sam's Instagram. Is that allowed?
Oh, yeah, at Sam Russo Music all night long.
And if you wanted to hear more from me, you can follow me on Letterboxd at _dangerous.
Hell yeah.
So this week, we are going to look at a film that came out in 1963 called The Sadist, directed by James Landis, no relation to John Landis.
Yeah, shame there's no relation there. I got
Really?
excited because I obviously thought that they were the same guy.
It's a different name. That's the clue.
Yeah. Very different. So The Sadist. Holy cow. Public domain.
It was banned in the UK for 22 years. First got a UK release in 2009.
And some of the information I read indicated that nobody gave a shit about this film.
It's a very underseen film.
Yeah.
I would say
Not by
potentially
you.
an underappreciated classic. Well, it was underseen by me until very recently.
Yeah.
Had you seen this before, Sammy?
No.
Had you heard of it?
I had never heard of it, never seen it, wasn't even aware that it was a movie that was readily available on every single platform imaginable, including Wikipedia.
You just watched the whole movie on Wikipedia?
Yeah, just thumbnail in the corner. No, I wasn't aware of this, nor was I actually aware of anyone in it except the cinematographer, Vilmos Zsigmond, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on.
We'll definitely talk about Vilmos Zsigmond. So I also wasn't massively aware of it. I'd seen one other film with Arch Hall Jr. in it prior.
Yeah, which one?
Egar.
Oh, okay, terrible.
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah.
Which I sort of came across via Mystery Science Theater 3000 back in the late 90s when I was consuming that rabidly.
Yeah.
And based on that, I was like, this guy fucking sucks and I never want to watch another movie with him in it again. And
Right.
The other week, I was sort of bibbling around Amazon Prime and came across this movie. And I thought, okay, I've got 92 minutes to kill. Why not? And I liked it so much, Sam, that I immediately programmed it for us to talk about.
You liked it so much that you immediately bought the boots.
I haven't actually bought the boots yet, but
Okay.
I've been in the market for some new boots for a long time. And I'd flirted with some Red Wings, but I was a bit like unsure on them. And then having seen them in glorious close-up many, many times during the running time of this movie, I was like, those are the boots. They're the ones.
Jamie Googled what kind of boots would a real sadist wear, and both the movie and the Red Wings came up, and he imbibed both.
Yeah. Super low budget. Well, it's a $33,000 budget in 1962 maybe, which is quite low.
Yeah, that's pretty low. And am I right in thinking I might have got the lore slightly wrong here, but wasn't Arch Hall Jr.'s dad kind of the driving force behind most of the movies he was in? He was like an entrepreneurial cinema dude who was kind of, I guess, like a bit like a producer.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
fronting the money for this, I imagine.
Yeah, and sort of plays a character in the trailer, which is weird.
I love that shit. There's some seriously James Whale shit, right? There's something about just putting on a grey suit and offering a dire warning about what you're about to see. Just immediately believe that's coming from a place of authority.
Yeah.
This guy
Yeah.
must be legit. He's wearing a grey suit and talking slowly about how scary this is.
Yeah, he's either like selling me cigarettes or is threatening me about what's going to happen if I watch this movie.
Or both.
Or both, which is like, I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
I mean, you're not hard to sell cigarettes to, and I've known you to watch a few horror movies in your time, so
Yeah.
you're the audience.
Yeah, like I say, I saw it, really, really enjoyed it, and was like, I got to get Sam to watch this, and this is the only way I know how.
You need to start a book podcast so you can make me read all these books you want me to read.
Exactly. Would you want to do a book podcast with me?
No.
No.
I can't read that fast. I'm a slow reader. I'm an ambitious reader, but I'm a slow reader.
Yeah. Why don't you give us a synopsis of what happens, or a synopsis for The Sadist, 1963, directed by James Landis.
Okay, here goes. In 1963, James Landis directed a film called The Sadist. In that film, three teachers are driving to a Dodgers game. They're driving to see the LA Dodgers. They got their tickets. They're ready to go. They're cruising through a desert environ when they have car trouble and pull into what they assume to be a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill gas station garage. It's at this gas station that they meet the titular sadist and his female companion. Sadism ensues. What more can you say?
What more can you say? I mean, we'll get into some detail about Arch Hall Jr.'s performance. He made 7 movies, much like James Landis. He also made 7 movies. They weren't all the same movies, but some of them were.
Yeah, made 6 more than his female co-star.
Yeah,
Helen Hovey.
So he made 7 movies, right? And he gave 6 dog shit performances and this, which
I'm guessing you're going to say you liked.
I like it a lot. I
You're
think
not going to say it's worse than dog shit.
I think it's really good, but sort of completely by accident. I want to get into some detail later, but I just wanted to say that up front. And then similarly, James Landis made a bunch of like terrible movies, and then like a couple of good movies. I think this is one of them. Another one is Rat Fink, and another one is called Stakeout. And it's weird that like all of his good films are about like what happens when fundamentally good, upstanding people run into the absolute dregs of society. And it must be something that he was fascinated with. He was 38 when he made The Sadist.
Right.
Which in 1964, like adjusted for inflation, that's like 85 now. Like a 40-year-old guy in the 60s is like the oldest man in the world, right?
Sure.
I wonder.
So he's been around the block a bit when he's making this movie. He's obviously felt out and explored this theme in other areas of life, and he's bringing kind of a rounded take on it.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you first up really is, do you think that he's afraid of youth or fascinated by violence or both?
I think it seems to me he's a filmmaker who's fascinated, at least on the surface, with the human capacity for evil. Basically the sort of wiping away of the moral compass almost entirely. So that's an interesting starting point, especially culturally and given the time when you're able to kind of portray, I guess, the protagonists of the film as being very innocent, very naive, but not insanely so. Not to the point where you're thinking, well, of course this has happened to you, you fucking idiots. They are almost entirely innocent, which is interesting. And yeah, you have an antagonist who's almost comically evil and devoid of compassion and empathy. So there's got to be something in that from a auteurial perspective. I mean, there seems to be a very deliberate script and a very deliberate characterization of somebody who is, quote unquote, a sadist, quote unquote, a psycho. I also think there's probably something happening here where he's probably sociologically very interested in what happens when there's a grind between mainstream, straight-laced, professional members of modern society and like you said, people who are living on the outside and the edge of society and snap.
There's some allusions in this to the idea that Charlie, the sadist, is also somehow a victim.
Yeah.
We don't really dig into that, but like it does. I mean, in that opening monologue, sort of voiceover narration where he says, "I've been hurt by others, and I will hurt them. I will make them suffer like I have suffered." Like, obviously, it sets up this idea that like he is somehow a victim.
Yeah.
But we never really explore
that.
that. Yeah.
No, and I thought that was going to be his undoing. I thought we'd get some kind of like, your mother never loved you, see? Your father used to beat you, boy. You know, we'd get some sort of like big speech about that, and he'd break down crying and then fucking get arrested or something. So probably quite a nice little mislead. It doesn't feel like something that's not explored or not fleshed out. It feels deliberate to leave that out. I think maybe there's a burgeoning obsession in American society with spree killing at this point.
Definitely. This is four years after Starkweather, which is obviously the thing this is really heavily based on.
Yeah, and I think this is an exploration of that. It's got to be the first movie inspired by old Chucky Starkweather's...
I would say so, yeah.
Merry Weekend. Yeah. So, I mean, from this, you know, from old Chuck, we get Badlands, we get Natural Born Killers, we get a bunch of crap, you know, exploitation cinema. And we get this, which seems to straddle the line between exploitation and like a genuine fascination with that phenomenon.
I didn't know loads about Starkweather before watching this. I sort of knew the basics, knew the headlines really, that like spree killer, him and his underage girlfriend sort of went pootling around and killed a bunch of people.
Pootling? Yeah.
But finding out some of the detail, like reading up on it, you have to, and they do in this movie, which is a pretty bleak and violent movie.
Yeah.
They soften him because in reality, he beat a 2-year-old baby to death with like a broom handle or something. Like
Hollywood did a real good job of making Charlie Starkweather cool as fuck.
Yeah.
When in reality, wowzers trousers, was he an unhinged maniac.
Yeah.
I mean, some people call him a serial killer, some people call him a spree killer, whatever you want to call him. He's the fucking nuts are out the bag with this guy. Holy crapola.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into some spoilers in a bit, but I also want to talk about some stuff that isn't spoilers first. But
Sure.
but we'll take a quick break now, and we'll come back, and we'll get into some more stuff. I want to talk about how much this feels like a slasher film to me.
Yeah, fuck yeah, let's talk about that.
And so we'll do that right after these. Not messages, just a random audio clip for some reason.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
All right, Sam, I'm back. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Slight head injury in the break. No big deal.
No big deal. Self-inflicted, though.
Of course, as always.
If you want to see that self-inflicted head injury, head over to Patreon.
It was done with a giant pencil.
Don't
swings
spoil
it.
it. I'm editing that out. That's
Fuck.
This podcast, Sam Russo, is brought to you by Red Scare Industries.
Ooh, Red Scare Industries. Hop on over to www.redscare.net in order to purchase and enjoy punk rock products, including vinyl, t-shirts, hoodies, badges, stickers, and all forms of music media. Redscare.net now.
Now.
I need a drink after that.
That was good. It was your best Handsome Dan voice, whatever his name is. What's his name?
Handsome Dan, yeah.
It is Handsome Dan.
Wayne's World.
Yeah.
He's great.
And I'll be Mr. Scream.
What a great film, everyone. Have we ever mentioned how much we love the movie Wayne's World?
This is Wayne's World 2, I think, isn't it?
All you have to do is mention something that happens in a Wayne's World movie, and I immediately want to grab the VHS double clamshell and get cracking.
Yeah. All right. So,
this podcast brought to you by Wayne's World.
Brought to you by Wayne's World 2. Crucial Taunt Tour coming soon. Check redscare.net.
Wayne's World 2, by far inferior, but still so good.
It's really good. I don't think it's by far inferior. I think it's
50% less good.
I think it's marginally inferior, but only marginally.
Really, only marginally?
Yeah. Think about all the stuff that you get in Wayne's World 2, right? You get Rip Taylor, you get the naked Indian guy, you get
Rip Taylor's topping your list of best things about Wayne's World 2.
You get Del Preston, like...
Yeah. My favourite thing that happens in Wayne's World 2, I think, is all the fucking incredibly slapstick shit with Garth getting laid. It's so funny. It's so good.
Good morning. I hope I wasn't too much of an animal for you.
This little bubble pipe.
Yeah.
Too good. Anyway, moving on. Moving swiftly on to something much more droll.
Okay, so obviously there's a bunch of like proto-slasher stuff happening in this movie.
Slasher protozoa, if you will.
Yeah. And it didn't really occur to me how much of the modern version of like slasher tropes, which, you know, blah, blah, we've talked about slasher tropes a million times, but we're going to talk about them again. And we will definitely talk about them 1,000 more times. But
Sure.
The way that it sort of nails on some of those modern slasher tropes that we don't even see in those early actual slasher movies. This movie has a final girl, for example.
Mm-hmm.
This movie deals in the sort of slasher ambiance. Obviously, it's not really like a stalky slasher movie. We're face to face with the killer for basically the entire runtime.
Yeah.
And only in like that final climax scene are people running and being chased and getting slashed, but with a gun.
Gun slashed. Yeah, the killer has a ton of dialogue. There's lots of very stark delineating factors between this and a traditional slasher.
Yeah. But when I saw that UK VHS cover that was like before Freddy, before Jason, there was the Sadist. I was like, okay, yeah, I can really, obviously what that video is doing is trying to market to an audience that is the prevalent horror viewing audience at that time, which is the big slasher fans.
Yeah, you're not selling, Charlie Tibbs as a Leatherface. I mean, but what you are doing is you're taking someone who's clearly psycho, has had a fucked up childhood potentially, and trying to sort of link, I guess, the origin at least, or some of the action.
I would say so.
Genre, which is cynical and cheeky, but sure.
I mean, this feels very much to me like an elongated version of the hitchhiker scene from the beginning of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Same kind of tension.
Yeah.
Same kind of very naked, like you're face to face with a guy who's about to murder you.
Very chatty, very intense, very scary. Like it's just like a really drawn out version of that, and we'll see.
Unpredictable, unhinged. Yeah.
I feel like Tobe Hooper must have seen The Sadist.
Oh, you'd hope so. I mean, you'd hope all those guys did, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we know people like Tarantino are pretty vocal about how much they love this movie and how much of an influence it was.
Joe Dante, especially.
Joe Dante loves the fuck out of this. I mean, there's so many modern slasher and particularly thriller filmmakers must have had that same feeling that I think me and you are both having. How the fuck did this elude me for so many years?
Yeah. So I haven't even asked if you liked it yet. Did you like it?
I think it might be a fucking masterpiece.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's just so insanely good. Like,
I also love the whole idea that these movies were just made for southern drive-ins, and were essentially not trash, but just to fill the screen for a couple of hours. And somehow you get a magical combination of cast, crew, and future complete fucking genius cinematographer. And as a result, you get something that's complete magic from start to finish. This film is fucking outrageously good.
I'm so glad that you said that, because, like I said in the sort of the pre-chat, like this, it could easily have gone either way.
I couldn't imagine a world where I didn't love this. And I can't imagine anyone I like not liking this. It's just so objectively brilliant. The things that people are going to say if they don't like it are that it's a bit overacted and a bit slow. And if you think that, you're completely entitled to those opinions, because those things are objectively true.
Yeah.
But for me, they both work to the movies. They add more power to the movie. I love a slow burn thriller, and I love overacting. Gene Wilder is one of my all-time favorite actors. You know what I mean? I love Nick Cage. I love all these guys who ham and go hard. And I think Arch Hall Jr. obviously gives a career-defining performance here because he did fuck all else, but almost like a fucking genre-defining performance here. It makes Martin Sheen in Badlands look like a mistake. Like he is half asleep throughout the whole movie or something. It puts Badlands in its place. It's a phenomenal movie.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you say that. You mentioned Nicolas Cage there, and I think like this is a very Nicolas Cage performance. He sort of wanders into this kind of expressionistic performance, which like you wouldn't. Obviously, he's never given before. He's been like basically asleep through the other movies that he was in. He quit movies, I think 2 or 3 years later to become a pilot. And
yeah, I read that people using the word sharpshooter about him on the internet, that he was a very good shot with a gun.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes you a sharpshooter necessarily, but yeah, obviously no stranger to armed combat.
Yeah, I think being the age that he probably was in some kind of war. There was many wars happening around then, weren't there?
Safe to assume he knows his way around a gun.
Yeah. They used real bullets on set for some
outrageous
scenes because, like, I mean, this is according to Vilma Sigmund via Joe Dante and like a thing that I watched where basically like he couldn't act shooting a gun when it wasn't shooting real rounds for some reason. So
outrageously method that he can't even fire a fake gun.
So he's just like, I guess he just really
funny.
shot that guy in the face, maybe, who knows? But
yeah, just put a really thick bit of something on the guy's face and he shot it. Can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, it sounds like such a fucking guerrilla production. It's so hardcore. Like real fucking guns, real bullets, real snakes. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Real cops. Jesus.
Real cops. Real dumb cops.
Real cops.
I
say no more.
We're sort of jumping around, but while we're on the cops, I've only got like a short thing that I wanted to say about them really, and I wondered if you
yeah right a real short thing. 5 hours later.
I wondered if you thought this as well. So like the cops are obviously completely idiotic and basically find a 45 clip on the ground and like, oh hey, somebody dropped their 45 clip. Like, do you think that the dumbness of the cops here are a comment on how civilized society in the early 60s, late 50s just weren't equipped to deal with the sort of lunacy of a Charles Starkweather type person?
I think dumb is a little bit aggressive for what these cops are, but only because I don't think it's intentional. They're portrayed as, you know, bumbling fucking imbecile cops with big floppy shoes walking around like, you know, getting everything wrong and missing obvious clues. I think it's more of a subtle No Country for Old Men style commentary on traditional values in society and law enforcement, and like we're not ready for this level of evil or crazy.
Yeah.
You know, these cops aren't ready for the spree killer to be standing right in front of them with a gun hidden by a rag, dropping his fucking clips everywhere with people in boots of cars and bodies hidden behind fucking buildings. And they're just not, it doesn't enter their mind that might be happening. Not out of dumbness, I think out of pure, wonderful, small town America, late 50s, early 60s naivety.
Yeah.
Naivete, if you will.
I think that tracks for me. I think, like I say, I wondered if it was a comment on like the just the world not being ready for this kind of senseless violence.
Yeah, they're not comic foils. They're not like
but
the kind of cops.
It is dumb to be like, oh, somebody dropped their clip.
Yeah, it did strike me as dumb, but it also struck me as very endearing because they're in this junkyard that they know well, and they know the guy that runs it, and they're obviously just thinking, this guy's always leaving fucking clips and guns and, you know, broken fucking cannons and shit laying around. It just sort of spoke to the trueness of their relationship as local cops with the local area and the local people, you know, and maybe like adorably dumb.
A thing that I really noticed in the cop scene was everybody just helps themselves to Cokes.
Yeah,
literally.
I think that's the thing.
It's just like Coke is free. Everybody gets a Coke.
Down at the garage, yeah, maybe you just help yourself to a sody pop.
Or a Nahi or whatever that drink is called.
Is it knee-high or Nahi or I don't know. It didn't take off as much as quite well-renowned Coca-Cola beverage.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to the performance, I do think that he sort of, like I say, stumbles into something a bit expressionistic and a bit Nicolas Cage and a bit bigger than like the sum of its dumbness.
It's like transcendent.
Yeah.
It's such, and for the time, it's such a bold move to portray this character in this way. I think, like you said, it could be a complete accident, but
I think it probably is because, I mean, given his other performances, like...
they're not like watching dailies, I don't think.
No.
Giving notes. I mean, I always love to think in situations like this that the director is seeing something happening and either saying, holy fuck, keep doing that, do more of that, or saying, oh no, this is going to be dog shit, let's just get through this. I don't know how that tracks between a genius cinematographer, someone who's delivering the performance of a lifetime, and a director who must be like, oh fuck, we've only got 30 grand and one scrapyard, how are we going to get a movie out of this? I don't know, it must have been such a surprise to see him busting out everything that he busts out in this movie, like line delivery, facial expressions, body shape.
Yeah.
Everything he does is, you're glued to it from start to finish. So I'd love to know what was being made of it at the time, because
that would be...
This is the 60s, dude, the early 60s. People aren't doing this in movies.
Well, like there's a couple of movies where we deal with the new level of insanity, like the new level of like people just being fucking horrible for the sake of it. Like Night of the Hunter, I think, is obviously, I would say, a big influence on this. Maybe like Detour. I think it's almost like he's also transported from like a Western. It's like a Western via noir.
Definitely.
Like I'm thinking like Jack Palance's Shane, but like dialed up to 1,000,000.
Yeah, there's a weird, it's like there's a big chunk of Cagney in there, but there's also, I mean, Kurt Russell wasn't a thing at this point, but he's got facially, he's got that broad sort of baby-like but very manly, just like face. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if this guy's 9 or 50, and a lot of classic Western swagger, a lot of influence obviously from classic Westerns.
Yeah.
And the way he's positioned on screen, the way the camera moves around him, feels very fucking High Noon to me. There's just so much happening here that's interesting, and such a drawing of influences from not particularly obvious genre source points, and you're right, broaching this new savagery in society that is both fascinating and terrifying, and also difficult to characterize in a movie performance by someone who's gone to absolute hamtown. Like, maybe he's fucking high as hell. Could be like methed out of his brain during the shooting of this film. We don't know. There's a bit of a Dennis Hopper edge to that. There's just so many people that we see come a little bit later, not much later, who must have fucking seen this and thought, oh my God, you can actually do that? Okay, all right, let's go.
I feel like people like Dennis Hopper are a little bit, even when they're fully like whacked out of their gourd, there's still a subtlety within them. And there's nothing subtle about this character.
No.
And I think that's kind of what works, isn't it? Because like he's being sadistic because he enjoys that, but he's also kind of performing sadism because that's the fun, is like being as sadistic as possible. So like, I guess that's how you get out, or you get around this like insane performance, because in the movie he's kind of already performing.
I mean, it makes total sense to me. I just think there's no insight really available as to why this performance is what it is and how it becomes what it becomes, which is great as far as I'm concerned, because it's ripe for speculation. But you look at guys like Dennis Hopper. What was Hopper born in like the 30s? So this is happening during his career as an actor. I think in those early days, he's mostly like, Guy on Horse 2 in loads of Westerns and some gangster flicks and stuff like that. You got to think maybe these guys even fucking met. Do you know what I mean? How incredible is that?
Yeah.
And you get this whole generation of really interesting character actors who come after this performance, who must have seen this on late night TV and been so inspired by how far you can take a truly crazy character.
Yeah.
Especially for the time. I know I keep saying for the time. I'm going to say it 1,000 more times. But, to convey that much in such a two-dimensional role, basically. You're the psycho. Be a psycho. And you get so much fucking juice out of this grape. There's
so much of like Arch Hall Jr. in the back end of The Shining, for example.
Yeah, dude. Abso-fucking-lutely. 100%. Yeah. And any movie of that era where somebody, quote unquote, goes psycho, I'm seeing shades of this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in Psycho. It must have been so influential on so many fringe / B-movie / future cult classic actors and performers and directors. If not, I'm shocked. Was that the kind of sense that you got, or do you think I'm over applying this as more of like a blueprint / watershed moment?
It's hard to really know because this wasn't very widely seen.
Sure. But you got to think people like Sheen must have seen it. Like Martin Sheen's not going into Badlands without watching this movie, sure.
You would hope not. And maybe that's why, I mean, Martin Sheen's performance in Badlands is considerably more understated than this.
Somewhat more nuanced, yeah.
And you get that sort of like simmering psycho rather than like screeching, giggling fucking gas canister freak.
Yeah, there's a bit of fucking Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors here. Like, there's a lot going on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the slasher trajectory of this maybe goes more via like your Maniacs and your Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer type movies.
Sure. Yeah.
Even like Driller Killer, to the point where they become part of that slashery lexicon. But like I say, this is the first like final girl that we ever see, or that I've ever seen, or the first instance of a final girl that I've ever seen in that sort of more modern sense. Obviously, there's generally somebody that survives a horror film. But in like the 60s, basically everybody was surviving or everybody was dying. Like,
yeah, there's not many like rope-a-dope female characters where you're like, oh no, a shrinking violet. What? She fucking, all the guys die and she's out? I can't think of any others around this point. And I've read a lot about slashers. This is rarely cited. I mean, I guess because it's not technically a slasher, you can't technically call her a final girl, let alone the first final girl. That's usually Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Yeah.
Most people would say. But yeah, if you're applying slasher tropes to this and you're looking at it through a slasher lens, and even if you're not, it's interesting in cinema to have, this outcome, if we're going to, call it that. I honestly didn't see it coming because I'm watching it through Marlon Brando's eyes. I'm watching it through 1963's eyes, and I don't think Helen Hovey's walking out of this fucking junkyard, So it's really interesting that they do that, and they do it in a way that really suspends the revelation of that to the very end of the movie. It really keeps you hanging on.
Yeah. The scene, which happened way earlier in the movie than I remembered on my second watch.
Yeah.
Of when he shoots the guy in the face.
Woof.
Is so incredibly violent. And like, you don't see anything. Like, you just see a guy hold a gun, the gun go off and the guy fall over. But like, you absolutely feel that in the moment. And it's incredible. 1963, and we're just shooting guys in the face at point blank range.
Shooting innocent teachers in the face who are just trying to go to a baseball game.
Yeah. Oh, while we're on,
it's crazy.
While we're on baseball, I wanted to sort of flag something about that, which I wondered. Like the movie's bookended by baseball talk.
Yeah.
And there's a bit during the middle as well. Obviously, they're going to a Dodgers game. We hear a bunch of the game on the radio at the end. Is the suggestion kind of that like senseless violence is now America's favorite pastime?
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't know if I was brave enough to go there exactly. I think on a very surface level, they're just using, baseball as the ultimate counterpoint to spree killing. I think they're saying like baseball embodies American values. It's a family sport. It's, it's apple pie. It's all of that stuff. So here's that juxtaposed with this fucking nutcase.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they're being incredibly brave and super progressive and very subversive, then yeah, maybe they are saying, at least like consuming the news around things like spree killers is our new pastime. Maybe not the violence itself, but the American news diet is becoming more seeded in controversy and more exploitative, much like the cinema. I mean, the top movies of 1963 that I looked up when I was thinking about this movie, it's like The Great Escape and HUD and stuff that's starting to kind of question American values a little bit. You got Lord of the Flies I think Lord of the Flies is out in 63. It's definitely on everyone's mind. There's a social conscience at work here, working overtime a little bit in this movie. And there's definitely a parallel being drawn. I wondered if there was going to be some kind of like, she has to run around a bunch of objects at the end to survive or something. She's talking about she doesn't understand running around the bases. But I agree
with that, by the way.
But I think that's just another great subversion of your expectations is taking a female character at the beginning and turning her into, for our consumption at least, a woman who can't even understand baseball, and then she walks out of this thing, the last person standing.
I mean, as a baseball fan, I've literally had that exact conversation. Like, why do you have to run on a home run? Like, the home run it's what, symbolic? It's like
it's the victory lap. You got to touch all the bases. It's
but like
in the
when you
rules.
hit a six in cricket, you don't have to run 6 times.
Fuck cricket, dude. Come on.
It's England's pastime. England's favourite pastime.
Cricket. God, I hate cricket.
I think the only thing I know about cricket is that if you hit a 6, you get 6 runs, right?
Yep.
But you don't run those runs.
Don't think so.
So that just makes more sense to me to not have to run.
But it's much more American to run,
Yeah.
don't you think?
I do.
To sort of ceremoniously run around and touch all the bases and mug for the crowd and go nuts. I don't know. Whichever way you slice it, she didn't understand it, and that's endearing in the beginning. But it also, obviously, in 63 is putting audiences in the place where they're thinking, this dizzy broad doesn't even understand a ball game, so she's going to get her fucking tits cut off. That's the assumption.
I feel like they weren't assuming people were getting their tits cut off in 1963.
Maybe not. But whichever way you slice it, she survives. Pardon me. She survives, and you don't have to understand baseball to survive a spree killer, it turns out.
It's true.
I think baseball is used extensively in the film because they do a great job of drawing the pretty direct comparison between how nice it is to be at a baseball game. It's it's hot dogs and a soft summer sunset. It's the Dodgers. It's all American versus you're having your face shoved into fucking greasy dirt in a junkyard and having your tits groped by a psychopath. That's the the two paths this movie could have taken. And just having the tickets ripped up in front of your face is such a disgustingly symbolic gesture of the end of the nice stuff and the beginning of the fucking end of you. It's sinister, bleak, and not very baseball.
No, so they're really 40 miles away from Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, and like 200 feet from the road.
Like they're so close. It's
yeah.
I think that's one of the things about this movie that makes it kind of more scary. Unlike, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or any of those sort of backwoods slashers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like if you're in the middle of nowhere, you're already somewhere scary.
Yeah.
Whereas like
yeah.
you're so close. And I think that's obviously the point of California more generally, isn't it? The point of Los Angeles is that it's like a little oasis in the middle of giant desert, or at least it was then. It's obviously expanded a bit now. But like
it feels more like a at the end of the long desert drive, you get there, and it's LA, and then it's the sea. So there's nothing too scary on the other side at this time. So yeah, it feels like it's always the end of a long journey, a destination.
And they were just 40 miles away, so close.
Yeah, it's bleak. It's bleak as hell. The begging for their lives scenes are pretty powerful, I think. For a cast of actors who don't do much more / haven't done an enormous amount of noteworthy stuff up until this point, I just find all of it really satisfying, pretty much wholly convincing, and really enjoyable. There's a good balance here because everything I think that's over the top in the Arch Hall Jr. performance that might put some people off, doesn't put me off, I think is balanced out by a fairly measured performance from the rest of the cast. It's not, I don't find it to be an overwhelming shit show of, overblown ridiculousness. I think there's a balance.
Yeah, if everyone was going at the rate that Arch Hall Jr. was going, then this film would be unwatchable.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. But it's tempered a little bit, and it's evened out a bit.
Like imagine watching Being Nick Cage instead of being John Malkovich. Like
yeah, exactly. But that's what they do though. They give him enough space to perform. The cinematography is what does it for me. The cinematography is absolutely stunning. And without those things, without the cast giving him a bit of room, without the cinematography giving him exactly what his performance needs in every scene, you've got something that's a little bit less balanced, a bit more off kilter, potentially a bit more freewheeling and not as solid.
Mm.
So I think there's very key things happening in this film that keep it anchored and keep it rooted and keep it chugging along. It kind of happens in real time, right? Is that the
Yeah.
idea? It actually happens across 90 minutes of real time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really bold thing. I mean, obviously you mentioned High Noon before, and I think that this is...
Yeah.
They originally wanted to call this 1201.
Interesting.
So like, I
it
think
had a different name and a different release, didn't it? It was called like Babyface Dickhead or something.
they re-released it in the 70s under the name Sweet Baby Charlie,
Right, there you go.
which is a stupid name, but he's got a baby face, so I guess they were just sort of leaning into that.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, they originally wanted to call it 1201, which I think
Hmm.
suggests that High Noon is a big influence on this movie.
Why 12:01? Because it's more like 1 o'clock when he's given his 15-minute deadline, right?
Well, that's like an hour into the movie, though, right?
Oh, I suppose. Oh, it's supposed to start at 12:01. Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Right, got you. Okay, that makes sense.
But like movies that dealt in real time weren't massive. Like they weren't really a thing around then. There was a couple of them, obviously High Noon, Rope, 12 Angry Men. Like it's just it's rare to find that in a low budget movie. Although it's easier to do in a low budget movie in one location, I guess. But
Yeah. A lot of those other movies feel like they use it as a real cheesy device as well. You'll get clocks coming up on screen, and there's all kinds of ways that it's hammered home that the clock's ticking down or that this is in real time. I don't feel like this does that. I think it does it really subtly.
yeah, it gives you the feeling that you're trapped in this space. It gives you you're trapped in this situation with them. We're never cutting away to another location, to a different thing that's happening in mission control or whatever. Like, it's just really clever. And obviously the cinematography does that as well, because a lot of the shots are really, really close in on people. So you always feel insanely claustrophobic, even though you spend 95% of the movie outside.
Yeah, in a pretty wide open space.
Yeah.
That's always amazes me that you can create that kind of tension and that closeness and that gross intimacy in a wide open. Yeah, I mean, Breaking Bad does that really well, I think, and a bunch of westerns do it incredibly well.
Yeah.
It feels all those very close up, like beads of sweat shots feel so classic, almost spaghetti at times western.
Yeah, the way that Vilmos Sigmund is able to like ramp the tension, also with what I think is maybe basically a fairly ropey script that is acted as well as it could be. I don't know if I agree that like the performances outside of Arch Hall Jr. are particularly good. I think they're fine. I think they're solid. I think they sort of wax and wane a little bit because they've got some pretty difficult dialogue to deliver.
Sure.
And they probably deliver it as best as they can, but like it still doesn't necessarily come out great. So like ramping up the tension through these insane visuals and doing things that like we've never seen before. Obviously we've seen Dutch angles, we've seen close-ups, we've seen intense stuff. We've even seen like close-ups of the eyes to like denote emotion, but like the way that it combines all of these things, like looking through chicken wire and broken windows and things to like remove you from the thing. Also first person, you're at the other end of the gun. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
it's so
with the gasoline in his eyes, all those. That feels so trailblazing, but it's also so well executed.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of those things done poorly or sort of tentatively almost in a lot of films. This is like the Seventh Seal level of deliberately shot.
Yeah, the scene where they shoot the old guy.
Yeah,
I mean it's set up like this so you don't have to see any of the gore, but like we're directly behind it, so we're right in the firing line. Like
we're through the other side of his head. Yeah.
So like
in a 2003 movie, we'd zoom through the CGI hole.
Yeah, or there'd be like some CG blood spatter on the lens or something. Which fucking cool when that happens, frankly. But
no.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, shut up. No. Wrong. Not cool. Blood spatter on the lens from a gunshot. Not cool.
Definitely cool.
We should have a cool or not cool section of the podcast.
Yeah. Everything in this movie is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Especially the boots and the jacket.
Yeah, as soon as I saw what the guy was wearing, I was like, now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, I think we could go shot by shot in this movie and not find a single moment that isn't either doing its job or very fucking interesting, going above and beyond. Some great linear divisions in the shot, just like things that are in the junkyard. When he's grinding her face into the dirt and making her eat the dirt, I just think it's really tactful the way it cuts around that big old piece of junk on the floor, so you don't see the pulled punch of not actually obviously making a woman eat dirt.
Yeah.
But I just think all of that feels perfectly staged and really well done.
Yeah.
Just, textbook shit right there, bud.
It's basically perfect, I think. And like there's a thing that I think is an unsung hero, and a thing that I love about maybe 60s movies generally is the weird production on the speech.
Yeah.
Everything sounds, obviously there's like the American version of like RP, which is like the way that people speak in movies because they can't have, I guess regional accents were more of a thing in America or in American media because America's so big and like you were making things for your local area or whatever. But like,
sure,
most of the movies that have broken through have this very prescribed, clean diction way of speaking, almost like not transatlantic, but like, you know what I mean? You
might call it the American accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you say, it's not inflected particularly. It's not even over the top transatlantic American. It's not middle American either. I don't know what it is. It's probably a fictional creation.
Yeah,
of an
like
accent.
sort of like RP, right? Sort of like that received pronunciation thing. But like also the way that the production on that works is just, it's so crispy. I mean, we're watching, you know, a 60-year-old movie, and
fucking hell, it's 60 years old.
Yeah,
Jesus
and
Christ.
I mean, I think the version that's on Amazon Prime, which is the one that I watched, is not like the most recent Fancy Pants Blu-ray version. I think it's just like a version that was kicking around.
Yeah, just one of those public domain, you know, I don't think the cut's different, but the quality I think is lower than one that exists.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but this could be a PAL versus NTSC thing, because that does happen sometimes. But the version that I watched was 91 minutes and a half, and this movie should be 92 and a bit minutes. So I don't know if there's like cuts somewhere, or whether that's just like a PAL versus NTSC thing. But yeah, I really like the audio production. It just feels really crispy. It feels like we're listening to Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, like radio.
Yeah, it's just really hi-fi. Everything's cranked but not clipping. It fits because the music is nice and sparse in terms of the instrumentation. It's well placed.
Yeah.
The whole audio track of the movie doesn't, because you're right. You watch some of these quote unquote old black and white movies, and it's off. It's too crunchy. It's too cranked. There's way too much treble.
Yeah.
It's shrill. It's stuff gets lost. You know, some of the more like marble-mouthed actors completely flubbing shit. You got no chance of hearing any of it. This is clear as a bell. Really, really well-produced movie.
Yeah. I think the score also is one of the best of this flavor of score, which is like the super bong, 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 bong,
the
bong,
dun-dun-dun
bong,
score. Yeah.
Like the sort of the
Creature from the Black Lagoon type score.
This is one of the best ones to do it. I think the Foley is bad. The Foley is probably the worst thing in the whole movie.
Okay.
The noise when anyone opens a car door or closes a car boot or whatever is like, it's like just someone scraping a fork on some metal or something. It's really quite bad.
I was a bit unsatisfied with a lot of the noises around the drinks because I'm so used to Hollywood just being like every time anyone drinks anything. So the fact that you can just twist a cap off and drink a bottle without making obnoxious noises was a culture shock for me.
The drinking, I guess the drinking a soda scene.
Oh God!
I'm gonna kill you when I drink this soda, and then you're just watching a guy drink a soda. And it's like fucking hell. This is terrifying.
the weirdest way of imbibing a beverage you've ever seen in your life. Oh my God! Yeah, brutally tense. Wonderfully weird.
I love it.
Very memorable. That's the main thing. Everything he does in this that is beyond the fucking pale isn't dismissibly so. Like, I'll be the first one to admit, sometimes Cage makes some choices,
of course,
with some slightly over-egged moments that are fairly forgettable because they're lost in a fucking maelstrom of weirdness.
Yeah.
This is a very intense performance from start to finish, but everything feels really memorable.
Yeah.
There's something to hang your hat on in all of these strange, very, I don't know, just over-the-top choices that are so grisly and so immediate that you kind of walk away remembering all of them, which is a very strange sensation for a one-man show type movie.
Yeah, I think like there's some Nicolas Cage moments where he is sort of where he goes batshit in a movie where he's not doing that. And
Yeah,
that feels incongruous. Like in Matchstick Men, where he's like trying to get his prescription for these pills and the guy's in his way. And he's like, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beaten until you piss blood? Like, which is a great line. And it's a great Cage moment. Yeah, it's really fucking good. But like that stands out as a moment because he's not that all the way through. Whereas there are some Cage performances where he is that all the way through, like Vampire's Kiss or Deadfall is a bad movie, but it's a very Nicolas Cage. It's a very Arch Hall Jr. Nicolas Cage performance.
Yeah, definitely. Everything looking back now is an Arch Hall Jr. performance.
Yeah. I think anytime someone's dialed into the highest possible... There was what movie were they talking about? Was it the guy that made Renfield was giving an interview? Right. Oh no, it was the guy that made Longlegs. It was Oz Perkins was saying that like Nicolas Cage could do this thing so obviously he's mic'd up to like deliver his lines. Yeah. And he would shout loud enough that it would reach the very edge of the waveforms, but it would never clip. Like he knows the exact like the exact level to like
that's bananas.
Curtail his voice so that it wouldn't clip on mic. And I feel like that is absolutely what's happening in this performance. And I think it's probably an accident, is that he's giving, if 100 is too much, he's giving 99.9.
Yeah, that's astonishing to me. And it tracks for me that Nicolas Cage would have such an intimate understanding of microphone placement that he knows exactly how loud he can scream. There's no way on earth that Arch Hall Jr. has that level of on-set presence, experience as an actor, or mythos to pull something like that off. And yet, you're right, you're getting 99.8% beans. You always know there's a tiny bit more in the tank that he may choose not to even roll out in terms of big potatoes. And you pretty much always feel satisfied that he's done just the right amount of nutzoid.
Yeah. I think, like...
Does that make it a nuanced performance? It can't, surely.
I mean, I think we can prescribe nuance to it. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was doing nuance.
No.
Sometimes you can throw up and it looks like a Pollock, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it's still vomit.
Still puke. Yeah. Still spew. Spew into this.
A thing that I was worried about, and maybe you were so into it that it didn't affect you in the way that it might normally, is that the end of this movie is just people running around.
Well, not for my money. I don't think it is, because we get a lot out of the... you're talking about like from when the young guy dies onwards.
I guess from like before then, really, when he rushes him.
Right, when the car plan starts to take off. Well, I think what stops it being a running around screaming ending for me is that the car plan is really solid. The formulation of the plan, you're sort of all in on it. Yeah. Then it starts to fall apart. The tension ratchets up when we realize, what a dumb plan. Literally all of that could change any second.
All he has to do is just not let her get in the car.
Yeah, like anything the guy does beyond what the specific things you need him to do ruin the plan. So it's not a good plan. But for some reason, we're convinced it's a brilliant plan. Anyway, so the moment that all starts kicking off, it's the culmination of a bad plan gone badly wrong, and pure chaos ensuing. So you need running around. It's wholly appropriate. Then we lead up to this fucking incredible set piece, the amazing demise of the Sadist, which is a fucking snake pit. Yeah. I just, any amount of running around that leads to a man's death by snake pit / snake cave, whatever you want to call it, top shelf. I don't think it's unnecessarily, it's not gratuitously drawn out. There's not so much running around that you feel like you're just, trying to extend the runtime of the movie or anything like that. It's well placed, well positioned, and it ends really satisfyingly. And the only sad fact about this movie that I read is they were real snakes.
Yeah.
They stitched their mouths shut.
Only temporarily. They unstitched them afterwards.
I don't know about you, but if someone stitches my mouth up and then unstitches it, I'm still not going to be too pleased.
No. But presumably that could heal at least.
the shit that Hollywood did to animals
Yeah.
is absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I was like, why? Why the fuck?
I guess so. They didn't.
Just use devenomized snakes like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I don't know. So you could even use stock footage at this point. Fuck, who knows, dude?
Yeah, I think the thing about the snake pit is that isn't, apart from there being a snake skin,
Yeah.
there's no foreshadowing of a snake pit.
No, there's not. Like, you got to be careful. There's snakes in these caves. They talk about snakes, and again, we're led to believe that she's just so ridiculously effeminate that she can't even handle a fucking hose pipe from an engine looking like a snake.
I mean,
and then
it's when she's thinking about there being snakes lingering about, where she sees the hose pipe.
Yeah.
And, like, I think I could be scared in that situation.
Yeah, but they do such a great job of making that a man-woman thing in that situation, to draw that stark divide between the man who's handling business and grabbing that hose, and the woman who can't even keep her wits together.
Yeah, he's apologizing because he has to take his shirt off. Like,
yeah. All of that is great in terms of scene setting for the woman to be the one that survives.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, I mean, we can't say that she kills him, can we? Really, we can't.
Well, she doesn't know that she's if we knew that the snake pit was there and she somehow led him to the snake pit and, I don't know, jumped over it and he ran into it or whatever, then that could be. But yeah, it's purely coincidental that she doesn't fall into the snake pit and he does.
Yeah, but I also like crediting her not just with surviving, but leading him to his death, because there's something very gritty about the way that she's not even really leading him there, is she? She's running away.
Yeah.
But there's something really gritty about how she survives those final encounters, that says her grit was more than his sadism, or her hope, or whatever force drove her to escape ultimately led him to a snake pit, which is just a fucking wonderful analogy. It's a great ending for my money.
Obviously,
love it. Wholly satisfying.
She's quite brave all the way through. As brave as she can be in a situation where someone might shoot her in the face at any moment. She's constantly talking back to both of them. She's constantly like at the other guy, at what's his name? Colin. Carl. Constantly at Carl for like being a huge fucking puss bag. And just standing there looking vaguely concerned while his best mate gets shot in the face.
Yeah.
And like, he's not wrong when he's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'd be shot in the face and you'd be having this conversation with him. But
we'll just speed this up, shall we? I'll just run at him and get shot. Yeah.
But so like, when he does finally nut up at the end, because he's only been able to find that bravery there, that's why he doesn't have the strength of character to go that full distance, and he just gets shot. And I think that's why she's able to run around conclusively until something happens to the sadist, until something happens to Charlie Tibbs.
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying is like, if you're brave, then you're brave. If you're not brave and you suddenly find the bravery, that's probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, maybe you need to be brave and clever to survive this kind of brutality.
Yeah.
Maybe the message of the movie is hope and kindness aren't always going to win the day, because sometimes you might meet an evil the likes of which you can't even conceive, and at which point you need smarts, grit, toughness. You need to be fucking inventive, quick on your feet. You need to go back to very instinctive survival, instead of trying to talk your way out of it with cheese dick sentiments and things that this guy doesn't care about. It's a really interesting message from a movie at this time.
Absolutely. And like, trying to be like, being manly and having something to offer the situation doesn't ultimately get you anything.
Yeah, being able to fix a car didn't help this guy.
I mean, he shot the tire in like the first time we meet him anyway. So like, what are they going to do when the car's running? Like,
yeah, that's it again. That's the fun thematic use of how you can't play with chaos. You can't get along with someone who's going to change the rules every 2 seconds. And that, along with a lot of other things, is what makes this really compelling viewing. But one thing I love is when you're in these movie situations that feel soupy and treacly and dreamlike, because you want to take action but you can't. Those dreams where you're paralyzed and you can't do anything. there's so many moments in this movie where you're being led into the kind of thinking that's like, well, why don't you rush him? Why don't you grab the gun? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? We're ultimately, it kind of plays out that all of that would have probably been futile anyway, which is a great defeating feeling for a viewer. But the one thing you think is going to happen, I think, maybe we're led to think this is going to happen, it ultimately doesn't, is a very Western trope of grabbing a handful of dirt, chucking it in his eyes, and going for the gun. I feel like that is hinted at 1,000 times in this dusty, close, shot like a Western movie. And the fact that it never happens is so clever to me. They don't even talk about it, they don't try it, it just never happens. I think that's such a subversive move on the part of both the cinematographer and the director to dangle that and just not even fucking go near it as a thing that happens. The gasoline in the face is brilliant. As soon as you know he's grabbing a gas pump, you know that's going to happen. But to deny us the fucking dust in the face, love it.
Well, see, the gasoline in the face, that could even go a different way. Like, we could just spray him with gasoline. He shoots the gun. That creates a spark. Suddenly you're on fire, mate. Like, that's where my brain goes. Yeah,
it's risky. It's a risky move. It's his best chance, I think. But again, there's still a part of me that's like, keep fucking spraying him. Like, get above him and pump, like, ram it in his mouth. Like, we don't have the brutality in 1963 that we have now. Do you know what I mean? No. Kids are doing worse in fucking video games than this movie does in its entire runtime. But I mean, it still feels
we do
like
see someone get shot in the face at point blank range.
True. We do see 2 cops get shot. We see a guy get petroled in the face. We see a woman get badly sexually assaulted. We see a lot in this movie. It's a heavy movie. It's not easy or fun to watch, really, I don't think. I mean, there's a lot of fun in it for me because I quite enjoy all of this.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of fun for a normal person, should we say. This isn't a movie that you'd recommend to like your normal friends.
No.
That's why we're recommending it to all our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to take a break, come back and give our final thoughts?
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
That's my favourite.
Let's do that.
Come on, man. Does the thing even work? No. There's nothing out there. It's just dead air.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, me too, buddy. Me too.
Welcome.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. So, this movie rules.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I watched it 3 times in the span of a week.
So glad you bought the boots and the jacket, and you're now living your sadist dreams. You're cosplaying the sadist.
Yeah. It's a great movie. It's shot incredibly. I mean, we didn't dig massively into the cinematography, and like, we don't need to. We'd be here for hours just talking about every single shot composition is perfect. The fact that this is his first credited movie, his first feature, certainly his first American movie, like... Vilmos Zsigmond is fully formed, and he obviously only gets better from here. But like, if he stayed at this level for his entire career, he would still be one of the world's greatest cinematographers.
It's insane, right? I mean, it might be worth, for the sake of people who aren't the world's most disgusting nerds, just rattle off a few Zsigmond titles that come later, because we haven't done that.
True.
What are some noteworthy bangers for you?
So obviously he's worked with every single auteur that's ever existed. So, like, anyone that you can think of. We've got all your Robert Altmans, you've got your Scorseses, I love The Long Goodbye. I know you watched it quite recently and didn't really rate it. It's an incredibly beautiful movie, but...
Yeah, sure.
So, obviously, I think The Long Goodbye is amazing. Sorry in advance for this. But the cinematography in the Kevin Smith movie, Jersey Girl... is far and away the best thing about that movie.
Yes. I mean, it's also just great that Kevin Smith finally gets to make a movie on his terms, and this is the cinematography he picks.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the film's even fucking worth watching or not. It's the fact that in his world of movies, which he is fucking obsessed with, you can't get a fucking word past Kevin Smith when it comes to this shit. He picks this guy to shoot to fucking cinematograph the movie of his dreams.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, for me, it's... There's a straight line from this to Deer Hunter, like
Deliverance as well. I think there's a real
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah,
like Deliverance is almost this in color.
Yeah, I was thinking the same about some of the shots that I remember from Deer Hunter. I was like, slap a little bit of color on this bad boy, and there it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I love The Long Goodbye. it feels like a different speed to this movie, to The Sadist.
But what a breadth of that talent to do those two very disparate movies.
Yeah.
That film is pretty silly at times. It's very funny. It's got a real sense of fun to the visuals, but there's a poignance there too.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's at the helm of both of those very different texturally and visually movies, it says a lot about just how far that talent goes.
Yeah, I think obviously he worked with De Palma a bunch, and like De Palma's a really fascinating director generally because so much of his shtick is stolen directly from like Italian giallo movies, and so like giallo movies, just so you know, are like Italian like slasher movies.
God, yeah. Okay, thanks.
And the fact that like you take this very Italian sensibility and you take this very, I assume, Eastern European utilitarian but batshit sensibility, and you mash them together and you get Blowout, which is like obviously also like Brian De Palma's homage or like love letter to like those sort of 50s American New Wave, like French New Wave movies. It's incredible. Blowout, amazing.
There's some mythical level stuff in this guy's reel.
Yeah. He's incredible. He's a great director. I feel like director of photography, and I feel like he could basically elevate any movie. I don't remember watching an episode of The Mindy Project and being like, oh, this is a really subtly and intensely, beautifully shot sitcom about this love triangle, but like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's always funny to me when you see like a serious work by particularly someone in any kind of DP position or especially directorially, and then you find out they fucking directed like a Big Bang episode or something. You watch it and you're like, fucking hell, it is that person. There's always a palpable difference. Interesting career.
Definitely an interesting career. He did a bunch of like some of these sort of low budget trash movies, and this is the one that really, really stands out. But the cinematography and all of his like drive-in work, his early work when he moved to America, it's always interesting. The movies aren't always good, but the visuals are always interesting. I think this movie oscillates pretty rapidly in that middle section between intense, terrifying, exciting, and then maybe like a little hint of like fallow. Yeah. But it cycles so quickly. Like you're like, oh, this is boring. Oh, suddenly I'm engaged again. Like it does that really interestingly, where it's like you almost get to relax for a second into something that feels like it could be boredom, and then you're like slapped in the face with a gun. That's
100% how I feel. I think it's way more deliberate and way cleverer than that. If you're getting to a point where you're even remotely comfortable, it snaps you straight back into the tension. And you need that. You need that ever so slight reprieve where you're like, oh, this isn't the most visually interesting thing I've ever saw. Oh, fuck, it is. You know, it's that quick and it's that clever. I think if you think this film's boring, you're not fully invested. Yeah. Because it's just a masterpiece in pacing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think
anyway,
like if
this is your summary, not mine. I'll shut the fuck up.
If you watch this film and you don't fully watch it, you can't really double screen a film like this. You can't be looking at your phone or checking your emails or thinking about what you're gonna have for dinner. Like you have to be like in the movie.
You gotta watch it, yeah.
Because like on my third watch this afternoon, I was like, it was my lunch break, so like kind of a long lunch break, but like I towards the middle of it started sort of to weave my way back into work, and that's when I started to think that the film was maybe getting to be a bit boring. But like because you're not fully engaged in that moment and in that tension, that's when, yeah, like you say, if you think it's boring, it's because you're not engaging, you're not giving the movie what it deserves.
Third time you watched it, yeah. And you've already had all of it revealed. Yeah, you know exactly where it's going. You know what the next beat is. So for it to still be an engrossing experience on third watch when all the tricks have, been revealed, that says a lot about a movie like this, which is designed for one watch on a hot, sweaty Friday night in a drive-in theater. Yeah, it's designed as a one-punch wonder, and it's taut and tight and clever and fast and if anything but boring to me.
It's crazy how like people made movies and didn't really expect people to watch them more than once, ever.
Yeah, that's fucking out. To you, that must be an alien concept. You've watched even your least favorite movie of all time 5 times.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a think about what my least favorite movie of all time is.
Okay,
And then
that's an episode.
I'll come back to you. There's a really tense moment with a cat in this.
Yeah, I was 100% certain that cat was going to die.
And like, I think that is obviously on purpose because, especially at the time, people will know the Starkweather connection and they'll know that Starkweather beat a baby to death with a fucking broom handle. So like,
he was a cat killer as well.
Oh, did he kill cats too?
I'm almost certain of that. Yeah.
So like, the idea that she's just holding this cat, we know that it's gonna get got, and if it does, it happens off screen, and thank God for that.
Yeah.
Outside the purview of the movie, I just think it's really good. It's sweaty, it's dusty, it's grimy. The sense of place, we talk about that quite a lot. The sense of place is great. Like you feel like you're there, you feel like you're trapped in this fucking location with a madman all the way through. And like,
but it's clever as well because you don't feel like you are where you are.
Yeah,
I would not believe you if you said, "Buddy, you're 40 miles from Dodger Stadium." That's a feat of cinema, in my opinion, to give us such a strong sense of place, but still have us question where we are and what's happening.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, Sam.
Well
I looked on Google Maps to see like what's in a 40-mile radius of Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, there's not a lot of nothing.
Yeah, not now. There's not.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the idea that they're so close to civilization, they're so close to where they need to be. 40 miles is nothing.
So close, yet so dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would just recommend this movie to basically anyone. I think it's as good as Night of the Hunter. I think it's as good as Detour or Shock Corridor. Like any of those like non-detective noir films that are just about how fucking horrible the world is.
Yeah. It's also very available.
Yeah, it is very available. So, I mean, if you've got this far, you've probably already watched it. But if you haven't got this far, then you're not hearing this. So I'm not going to say anything. As a score, I'm going to give it 19 whacks to the old teacher's face with the butt of a gun out of 20.
19 out of 20.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's a high one. That's a big one. I'm going to give this... We've said everything, really, haven't we? I've been butting into your summary the whole way through. I'm going to give this movie 1 home run out of 1.
Wow.
This is a 10 on 10 for me.
Nice.
I can't take anything away from this movie just because it's pretty fucking magical. And again, I know I'm biased, but it's one of those rare and beautiful movie watching experiences where you see a film you've never even heard of that's so well made and so well paced and so beautiful to look at, that also has something to say, is also enormously fun and quite frightening. That doesn't happen very often nowadays as we slowly and steadily exhaust the catalogue of movies that do that, and the vast majority of them are very well publicized and very well known. So it's great to find, to kick over a rock and find this shining back up at you. What a great experience. Thanks, Jamie.
I'm just so glad that you enjoyed it, because I genuinely was terrified that you would think it was a big pile of shit.
I think that's unwarranted, but it worries me a little bit. But also, I think this might be my only full mark, my one of 2 full markers.
I think there was another one, because I remember relatively recently you saying, "Oh, the last time I gave full marks was to Killer Clowns from Outer Space."
Oh, blind.
So I think there might be 3 at this point, including this
I'm
one.
losing track.
Yeah,
losing track of all my generous 10 on 10s.
But like, considering 99% of the movies that we cover you'll never watch ever again.
Fuck no, I hope not. Jesus. I mean, but also it's the romance of this film. I am picturing it on that Friday night in that drive-through theater somewhere in the South, just scaring the living fuck out of a bunch of teenagers and stopping them from necking. And there's something wonderfully romantic about that happening. And just like 40 years later, reminiscing with a buddy and be like, fuck, do you remember that movie with that complete psycho who was in like a gas station or something? Oh yeah, fuck yeah. And he got eaten by snakes. that's a wonderful phenomenon and feature of cinema that I think is truly romantic and wonderful. So this captures that. It's a little time capsule.
I feel like Arch Hall Jr. is both believable as a psycho, but also like just sort of captures the magic of being a psycho. That like you need to be in a film to think it's not real. Do you know what I mean? It's like you need to have this sort of larger than life character that also somehow feels like he's a real person. It's an incredible line to thread.
Yeah, it's so hard to convince people that you're a psycho, but also remind them constantly that no psychos behave like this. This is a movie.
Yeah.
It's great. It's very clever, and it's pretty. I mean, it might not be groundbreaking in terms of actual cinema history. Someone who knows more can correct me on that, but it's real early days to be going to these places with this character and doing it so well, especially for a guy who fucking just ran off and joined the Air Force or whatever the fuck he did afterwards.
I think he became a commercial pilot.
He's still alive. I
think he died in 2016, something like that.
Oh,
maybe.
Bummer.
Yeah.
His death date isn't on his IMDb.
Or maybe he didn't die then. I remember looking at somebody's Wikipedia and being like, oh, they died in January 2016. They never got to see Trump be president.
I mean, maybe at 81 years old, he's still a commercial pilot, and you could get on your next flight to Tasmania and have Arch Hall Jr. land you there.
That would be
some applause.
Him being like, it's still in character though, on the tannoy.
Yeah. Yeah. He retired in 2003, just so we know. Flying Tiger Airlines and FedEx, retired in 2003. But he seems to still be alive and living in Florida.
Nice. That's where people go when they're old, right?
Apparently, according to his website, he is touring, recording, and making personal appearances as a musician.
Sam, we finished September, and we're going to be moving into October next month. How do you feel about that?
More like September. I'm excited about October because I think there's a significant calendar date in that month that some of our listeners might be looking forward to.
Yes. To celebrate the thing that they're looking forward to, we're going to capitalize on that by doing all movies that are set in and around Halloween.
Excellent. Some Samhain celebrations for our sallow and sanguine sausages.
Exactly. Don't put the cart before the horse, Sam. This is good shit. Save it for next month.
Okay, will do. That was my Vincent Price, I think. I don't know. It was automatic. I don't know what I was doing.
It was a good Vincent Price thing.
Okay, good. Good.
I rated it.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's time to get spooky. So fucking saddle up, motherfuckers. Let's get spooking.